is rate. And for rate, you have to convert a decimal to a percentage to a decimal. So that's why you're doing these three problems here. So just remember to convert a percent into a decimal. You move the decimal 2 places to the left. And this isn't like related to scientific notation. This is percentages. Parts of a pie. So number 2 would be 0.05 as a decimal, and number 3 would be 0.0005 as a decimal. So remember, to convert to a decimal, move your decimal point 2 places to the left. This is the one that people will mess up because this is like a maybe like a credit card fee. And so when we do like banking word problems, people see this and they think it's already a decimal. But if there's a percent sign, you still have to move it 2 places to the left before you put it into the formula. Okay. I'm going to give you a handout, but it's not for you to write on, it's a class set. So if you guys can put on the top, do not write on here. It is really tiny, so yeah. I'm going to project these problems as well. I just thought it might be nice for you to have them in front of you. So don't write on here other than to say don't write on here. Did you guys write the standard for today? Write the standard down. Construct exponential functions. Given a description of a relationship. That's what we're doing today with these word problems. Construct functions. All right, quietly read the first problem to yourself. So we're moving on. This handout is classwork today. We're going to do all 12 of these, I believe. Wait, do not write on this? Yeah, don't write on it. That's just so you can have the words in front of you if you want. They're still really tiny. Do not write on it. I know, it's tiny. Maybe you prefer to look at the screen. You do need a calculator, so get your calculators out. So find a bank account balance. If the account starts with $100, so starts with means it's the initial amount. We'll put 100 in there. Has an annual rate of 4%, meaning the bank gives you 4% interest for keeping your money with them, and you leave it in there for 12 years. So ideally, by the end of these 12 problems, you have this formula memorized. You know, writing it down 12 times will do that. So we're going to put 100 in for A. We're going to do 1 plus 0.04, and for time we put 12. So here's, make sure you convert to a decimal. So I didn't put 4% here, I put in 0.04. So order of operations means in the calculator, we're doing the exponent first. 1.04 to the 12th would be the first operation. You guys need to, I'm going to call on you guys for numbers, so have your calculators out. Well, just wait on me and write down mine right now, and that's so boring and lame. Hit your buttons. Hit your calculator buttons yourself. So what's 0.04 to the 12th, Thomas? So you're done it? What? Is it 1.6 then? So 1.04 to the 12th, 1.6 times 100. So I want to write a complete sentence answer. After 12 years, the account will grow to $160. I want to say and 10 cents, people. Let's, for this, all of our money, let's go all the way down to cents, okay? I'm going to see it. $160.10. Did you guys get that in your calculator, the 10 cents? Okay. All right, so back in 1985, I got in the hugest argument with a class about this. There was 285 cell phone subscribers. My argument was, like, when I was a kid, people didn't have cell phones, and they, like, didn't believe me. Wow, why did they not believe it? Someone said in the 90s their parents had cell phones, and it wasn't until the late 90s. It was a big argument. Anyway, the number of subscribers increased 75%. That's a really, really quick increase after 1985. How many cell phone subscribers were in Centerville by 1994? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and write the formula again. If you write it down every time, you'll have it memorized by the end of class. So we'll put 285 in here. 1 plus, we don't put 75, we put 0.75. That gets converted. Plus rate. Plus rate. It's like a poorly spelled trait. So the 9th power, it's been 9 years. Boy, that's growing very quickly. Okay, who can I call on for a final answer? Aiden, do you have a final answer yet? Well, look how much different my number is not rounding it. Crazy. Let's for consistency purposes for this number here, let's just keep rounding to the hundredth today. But then there's a conversation about how to round the final answer. So for money, I want cents, and then for something like a cell phone subscriber, we need to round to the nearest whole number. Because you can't have a partial subscriber. Okay, so for people, we're rounding to whole numbers. I'll write that down. Round to the hundred for the rate. For people, round to a whole number, such as subscribers. And for money, we round to cents. So a lot of conversation to have here with rounding. So, and I want you, I'm using a complete sentence answer. So, in 1994, there were 43,872 subscribers. So can you believe in 9 years it went from 285 to 43,000? Those are, yeah, it's good math. It took off, and now there's just too many cell phones.
I know. I think we should go back down to no cell phones.
Go back down.
I kind of miss the days whenever there was no cell phones.
You guys don't even know. You don't even know.
I mean, like in my yeah.
Back when people read maps.
Yes. Man, I miss reading those maps.
Getting lost. You used to be able to like genuinely sometimes be late because you got lost. Now it's like you didn't get lost. You got Google.
I kind of miss when we didn't exist.
Next one, number 3. Bacteria can multiply at an alarming rate. When each bacteria splits into 2 new cells, thus doubling. If we start with only one bacteria, where did the first one come from, guys? That's a big question. With only one bacteria doubling each hour, how many bacteria will we have in one day? All right, so we're starting with 1. When something doubles, it goes up 100%. Let me write that down for you too. Doubling is increasing by 100%. So if you had one teacher and your teachers doubled, you'd have 2 teachers. That's 100% and 100%, 2 teachers. I don't know. So in here, it's actually 1.0, right? Like 100% converted to a decimal. And we're going to raise this to the 24th power after 24 hours. So when you double, and we looked at one word problem like this before, doubling has a base of 2. And the reason it has a base of 2 is because it's 1 plus that 100% rate. All right, Dominic, you do this math. How many bacteria do we have at the end of the day?
Oh, why it goes 48?
Nope.
No.
It's a exponent, not a product.
Read this number.
I know. I'm tempted to put that in scientific notation. Yeah, go ahead, read it.
I don't even know if I did it right. It's the y-x thing, right? Oh, yeah, I did it right.
16,777,216 in one day.
That was actually right.
Bacteria goes from 1 to 16,000. That's how people get sick. Pretty quick.
That's why you can use like hand sanitizer. Feels 99.9%.
That's why you what? Oh, hand sanitizer. Yeah, but what about that 0.01?
I don't know. Like
It's doubling. It's doubling.
Nobody is perfect.
Your immune system has to beat it. Kalia, what you doing? Each year, the local country club sponsors a tennis tournament. Play starts with 128. That's our initial amount. During each round, half of the players are eliminated. So this is now a decay function. So decay is the same, but you put a minus sign in, right? Do I need to do that? For anything decreasing, you do 1 minus the rate raised to 10. So if participants are getting eliminated, we're going to have to use a minus sign. Yeah, so I'll put a little note here. Half is 50%. So we'll put 0.5 in. And there's 5 rounds, so I'm putting 5 as the exponent. Cadence, can you give us the number on this one? It's so cool when you see the answer. Makes me want to make a bracket. Does anybody have an answer? Gabe? You ready? Okay, maybe I'm going too fast. I've done all these problems before. So. Uh-huh. Okay. And now multiply that by the 128. 4. This is a full bracket system. It's crazy you can start with 128 and only 5 rounds be down to 4. Kind of confused by that. Like in the NFL, there's only how many teams? And it took how many rounds to get to the Super Bowl? So I can do a little math here. 32 times 0.5 to the 4. Works. Works. 128 and 32 are both powers of 2. It's very related. All right, so y equals 4. So there's 4 players after 5 rounds. So that means they're at the semifinals. Then they'll play, the 4 players will play each other in the semifinals. And then they'll go to finals, 2 players, and then they'll have a champion. I didn't write a complete sentence on the earlier one. After 1 day, there is 16 million bacteria. Okay. The population of Winnemucca. Who's been here? Nevada. Anybody? Have you been to Winnemucca? Winnemucca? Did I say that right? Okay, maybe it's made up. Nevada is modeled by P equals 6,191 times 1.04 to the T. T is the number of years since 1990. What was the population in 1990? So you actually don't have to do any math here. You just have to know how to read the formula correctly. So let's see how to pronounce it. Yeah, it would be a 4% increase. What was the population in 1990? Mikhail, you know the formula. Here it is. This is like it's already written for you. 6,191, 1.04 to the T. What was the initial population? You got it. Right? They're asking you the initial population. It's always that number out in front. Okay? So if they give you a formula, sometimes you're asked to identify certain parts of that formula. And now, by what percent did the population increase by? Yep, the population increased by 4% because you're looking at 1.04. If you take that apart, it would be 1 plus 0.04. And then if you convert this back to a percentage, the increase is 4%. So you have to look beyond the 1 at the number next to the 1 and convert it back to a percentage. No calculator needed. You guys seem confused on this one. Does anybody have a great question? Might help everybody? Okay, let's try another one. You inherit land that was purchased for $30,000 in 1960. Are any of you guys ready to inherit land? Anybody got land in Georgia or something? Like my grandma's got land in South Carolina. No? Okay. So it was purchased back in 1960. The value of the land increased 5% every year. How much was the land worth in 2011? Let's do it. I feel like $30,000 in 1960 was like a really good piece of land. How many years are between 1960 51. And 2011? Yeah, I gotta go with 51 because 40 years to get to 2000. 11 more years. 51. Now this is money. We're talking money here. Jake, you want to do the math on this one?
You got this, Jake?
You gotta go home and ask your parents, like, well, how much is our land increasing by? What am I gonna inherit one day? You guys have so much time before you think about inheriting things. One day it's a topic of discussion. That calculator won't. So sorry to hear that. You should get an upgrade. You should upgrade to I don't even see the one in here. I think is the one for Ace Math. Yes, you should get that one. TI 30. This says 30, one. Right?
Yeah.
No, Logan has
This
a better
is
one
a
than that.
T130XA.
That
Texas.
doesn't belong to you.
Yes, it does.
Oh, I thought it had to be cut. Okay. Jake, we ready?
Yeah, this is different.
I got a big number. Not big number, but talking to you.
177.48239349.
Does that sound right to y'all? I don't think that's right.
Nah, Jake's never right.
How's my number look?
That looks better.
Looks better.
Much better than Jake's.
Wait, how did you get the? Well, oh, I multiplied 30,000 before I just before I put 50.
I'm so glad I called on you. Never do that. So what's happening here is I'm like so I'm getting my number right, and then I'm hitting enter, and then I'm multiplying by the number in front. Okay, so I am keeping my whole long decimal in my calculator, storing it in there. Can you try that? You think about it. Like if you get your number and instead of hitting clear, you hit like times 30,000. It'll multiply the whole decimal in. You try that? Try it right now. That's what I mean. Right now. So go ahead and do 1.05 to the 51st. Because the way I'm doing is more precise. I want you guys to try it. And now don't hit clear. Just hit enter and then do times 30,000. Any luck? Did it come out the same as mine or no? A little bit different? Will you read to me what you're supposed to? 30,000. Because I've been trained to use my calculator correctly. So that makes me really uncomfortable. So I might as well tell you how to use it correctly. Like store that whole decimal in there. Use the whole decimal. Because we're forced to shorten the number when we write it. But our calculator isn't shortening the numbers. It's got that whole number in there in a really precise way. So like using your tool correctly keeps your number more precise. You guys can handle that. Alright, here we go. Biology. I know you guys love biology. During normal breathing, 12% of the air in the lungs is replaced after one breath. I'm shocked by this. I thought it was 100%. Like I thought I had a whole 100% new air just now. And it's only 12%. So that's like 88 old air in your lungs. Do you guys get that?
Yeah, but like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, every time you breathe, it's just new 12%.
So like eventually, oh no, it's never 100%. It can never be.
Because there's like old actors hanging out in there.
I was born.
Well, that's why you're supposed to like do that quick breathing, the Wim Hof method. Okay. All right. So write an exponential DK. Says DK. If the initial amount of air in the lungs is 500 milliliters.
I just want this bad news.
So I got 500 in, and so every breath I'm taking 12 out and bringing 12 new in. So after 240 breaths, do you think some of that first breath is still in there? So what we're saying is here, you walk by a gasoline pump and you breathe in gasoline. right? You got a little bit of gasoline in your lungs. Okay? What we're saying is 240 breaths later, how much of that gasoline is still there? You get it?
Yeah.
There's still a little lingering trace of that gasoline there. Because every breath only cleans 12% out. So we didn't get 100% of the gas out after just one breath. I'm really curious as to what your calculator is telling you because mine's using exponential. I'm sorry. E is scientific notation. Okay. So 0.88 times to the 240 is 4.74. Let me write this for you. Okay, so your calculator might look like this. Capital E, negative 14. That is your calculator's scientific notation. So write it that way. Don't hit clear in your calculator. Just after you hit enter, just do times 500. All right, it's 2.37 times 10 to the negative 11. So as a reminder, that would be. No, you don't. But I just wanted to give you an idea. Thinking about the gasoline that you breathe in, that's how much after 240 breaths. So that's you done drove away from the gas station. There's this much lingering in your lungs. That's not very much. Ready for another one? Okay.
I'm ready. Let's go.
This much original air remains. So people get carbon dioxide poisoning if they're stuck inside somewhere?
Yeah, like if I was in this room for too long, which I have been.
No, there's an air conditioner. If the air conditioner was broken, elevators, if you're stuck in a car in a garage, you guys have heard those really sad stories.
The guy who mailed himself to the neighbor.
That doesn't sound funny.
Got picking up the box and dropped it.
That's really dark.
It was in the box.
I was late.
Alright, biology. An adult takes 400 milligrams of ibuprofen. Is that normal? That's 2 ibuprofens. Have you guys ever taken that?
I take
I take like 5 minutes.
Each hour, the amount of ibuprofen in the person's system decreases 29%. Oh. How much is left after 6 hours? Oh. Now we're pharmacists. Who's going to be a pharmacist? Do it. Do it. It's good money. No, one person. Alright, so if you've ever had an injury and you take your ibuprofen, in 6 hours your always starts to hurt again. Am I right? You're like, you ask your mom, like, oh, my thing's starting to hurt again. Can I have more medicine? Anybody notice? No? Maybe like wisdom teeth? If you've had your wisdom teeth out, you know. No one in here's had a real owie before? Like injury?
Oh, I should tell you about it.
Well, with your injury, could you tell when the pain medication was wearing off?
Well, okay, when I was in first grade, I broke 2 of my ribs.
Charlie first grade.
Fully doing damage.
Two four. I got that one wrong.
That just shows a different.
Oh wait, no, I got it right.
Alright.
Alright, after 6 It says to take ibuprofen every 6 to 8 hours. So it's gone out of your system. Take another one. Alright, let's just do this last one, and then you guys can open your workbooks up. You deposit $1,600 in a bank account. This one's really important, Michaela. You ready? This one's important. There's some different wording in here.
Wow, I don't like this question.
This says it's compounded monthly. I told you guys this yesterday. If it's monthly, they take your interest rate and they divide it by 12, and then they multiply that 12 on the outside. So the word compounded monthly changes your formula. Compounded quarterly changes your interest rate. But compounded yearly does not. No, you multiply out there by 12. Because it's 12 times every year. So if it was 3 years, you got paid 36 times. You follow that? Wow, this looks really tricky on the calculator. You should have a nice calculator to do this. Little fraction button.
I'll go calculator shop tomorrow.
It's in the book. Get Logan's. Honestly. Actually, Benjamin's is slightly better than Logan's.
And give me your calculator.
Benjamin, pass that calculator around. Take a picture of this calculator. You can use it in ACE Math. If you're getting an A in this class, you're going to go to ACE Math. So be ready for that. Get that calculator.
Darn!
Your
Thomas?
Can't go to H.
Yeah.
A or B? A or B? A or B? A or B? A or B?
C.
Let me take a picture. Ouch.
You didn't do what by 12?
Straight.
Oh, really?
No,
You did the exact
Why are you morning? Morning.
$1 or 1 cent?
That's mine.
Okay, so this is how picky finance people are. So this is 1,600. If I was talking about 16,000 or 160,000, that $1 but might be $10 or $100, and I'm gonna pick the bank that's gonna give me more.
So I'll pick
So that's
so far.
slightly different. Is this good? Do you guys understand how to do monthly, quarterly, annually?
Somewhat.
When is it annually? Why do you say why is it I thought annually.
Once a year.
Why is it under 12?
Well, this is compounded monthly.
Oh, I thought
Use that pencil sharpener over there. Alright, you all have 6 minutes to work on these word problems in your workbook.